Broken clock. The sun illuminated the old village square with the first rays of the morning. Ethan was sitting in his small shop, an heirloom of his father, examining a watch that had been left for repair. The watch in his hand was an elegant, silver-plated antique, but it was damaged. The glass was cracked, and the hour and minute hands were out of place. Ethan put on his glasses and set to work, carefully repairing the watch. But there was something about this clock, a sadness that made it different from the others. The watch had been left by Eleanor, one of the village elders. Eleanor handed it to Ethan with her usual quiet but sad eyes. "Can you fix it, my son? It is very old, but it is very precious to me," she said. Ethan did not ask why it was so important. Everyone knew Eleanor's deep wounds. As Ethan was repairing the watch, he noticed the inscription. On a small plaque were engraved the words, "Forever ours." The inscription stirred something inside Ethan. For a moment, he remembered Eleanor's tragedy so many years ago. In her youth, Eleanor had been one of the most beautiful girls in the village. She had fallen in love with a young man named Arthur, and Arthur had fallen in love with her. They had a love affair that was the envy of everyone in the village. A few weeks before their wedding, Arthur went to the army and never came back. The news came back that Arthur had been killed. Eleanor had never set her heart on anyone in her life and had lived only with the memory of Arthur. This watch was the watch Arthur had given Eleanor as an engagement present. Ethan suddenly became more focused on the task at hand. This was not just a watch, but the silent witness of a lifetime. Each scratch on the watch seemed to touch a memory. A few days later, the watch was repaired. Ethan took it to Eleanor. The old woman took the watch with trembling hands and could not hold back her tears when she saw the hour and minute hands behind the glass moving again. "He always carried this watch when he was waiting for me," Eleanor said with a deep sadness in her voice. "I always carried it with me, but when the clock stopped, I thought he had forgotten me too." Ethan, sitting silently across from her, said, "Perhaps the restarting of the clock is his way of saying that he has never forgotten you." Eleanor pressed the watch to her heart. She smiled through her tears, but the smile was tinged with sadness. It was as if the memory of Arthur had been revived, if only for a moment. But time took that memory away too. The clock was ticking, but Eleanor's time was rapidly running out. A few weeks later, the village was shaken by the news of Eleanor's death. The old woman put the clock under her pillow and fell into an eternal sleep. On the day of the funeral, Ethan picked up the watch again. It no longer worked. It was as if it had stopped with Eleanor's heart. Ethan left the watch on a stone in the village cemetery. On that stone was written, "Forever ours."